Dangerous Animals was directed by Sean Byrne and stars Jai Courtney in a role that he was actually born to play after many, many years of not having many good roles at all. The film tells the story of Zephyr, a savvy and free-spirited Zephyr who is abducted by a shark-obsessed serial killer and held captive on his boat. And she must figure out how to escape before he carries out a ritualistic feeding to the sharks below. So, bit of a mixed bag, this one. I went to see Dangerous Animals last night at a midnight screening, exactly as you'd want. At that time of the night, I was the only one in the cinema down in Croydon City Centre. And let me kick off with the positives, because I don't want to be too negative this weekend, because I saw Clown on a Cornfield and I absolutely hated it. So, in terms of just pure entertainment, this is a really easy watch. I mean, I found that the hour and a half runtime went pretty quick with this. It's a shark movie, but it's not really a shark movie. Like the shark aspect is very much in the background of this one. It's predominantly about Jai Courtney's character Tucker and the kind of awful things that he likes to do to mostly women, but we do see in the film that it's not just solely to women as well. So yeah, I would say Jai Courtney pretty much carries this movie. I think it's his performance that really kind of elevates it beyond what is essentially a bit of a B movie, if we're being honest. It's a fun B movie, but it's pretty schlocky. It pretty much gives you what you expect it to give you. But I think his performance is so unhinged. It's very much vibes of kind of Wolf Creek, Mick Taylor. But yeah, he kind of brings his own kind of sleazy flavour to it. He's kind of oddly funny in some cases, oddly tragic, but also actually quite menacing and quite nasty in kind of how he likes to go about catching his prey and then sort of dealing with them. I thought this film was pretty gory. Actually, I thought you saw quite a lot. It was quite violent at times. You get some decent amount of tension. There's some element of character development. You can see I'm sort of struggling with this one, right? And I am a little bit. I'm finding it hard to really talk much in depth about this film because there's just not really a lot to it. I think the premise itself is really interesting. And I think when I saw the trailer to this, I think it was a couple of months ago I was even aware this film existed. I think the concept of a serial killer who kidnaps women and then feeds them to sharks, I think is the most interesting bit. But once you've kind of processed what that is, and you've probably done that in a trailer, well, the film itself plays out very much like I would say there's a kind of genre of films in the 90s like Pacific Heights with Michael Keaton. You had Dead Calm where Billy Zane was the kind of the villain. It's sort of in that kind of realm. So it's quite claustrophobic, all takes place on a boat. And I guess maybe that's the problem, is because it only takes place on a boat, there's kind of very little you can really do with it. So yeah, Jai Courtney's really, really kind of menacing. I thought the kind of the lead main character, I thought that the kind of final girl character was fine. I kind of liked her kind of plucky spirit, and she'd clearly been through some stuff as a kid, but I didn't necessarily find myself that interested in who she was. I think because she gave so little away about herself, it was kind of hard to be but bothered. And there was also a sort of a romance plot line that was thrown in, which again was fine, but really kind of hard to be that invested in. And this film just isn't about character development or, you know, it being anything too deep. It's kind of basic. And actually, having seen Sean Byrne's previous films, he had a bit of depth to it. And I believe this is the first film that he's directed that he hasn't written. And it does kind of show, because it's just a little bit surface level. It is what it is. So, as I say, it's kind of fun and it's kind of campy, but there just isn't much depth to it. In terms of what I didn't like, and I think it was the joy of being on my own in the cinema and being able to kind of talk out loud and sigh and scream, was this film is only an hour and a half long and it really feels stretched out. In a perfect world, we could have films more of like an hour in duration. This may have worked better as like an anthology or something like that. In fact, an anthology would have been perfect for this, like half an hour, kind of shows what we need to do and then get out again. It relies on a number of the characters doing just very stupid things, a lot of plot armor, and that includes the kind of Jai Courtney's character doing stupid things as well. So characters will get injured and then you never really hear it about again. Like, no injuries slow anyone down. People never learn, that you don't run away from a killer and not kill them while they're down, all those kinds of things. It kind of falls into a bit of a horror movie cliche. So by the end, it gets into this kind of rinse and repeat where someone might escape, they get caught again, they get put back in captivity. And we go through that cycle probably 4 or 5 times. And it is just unforgivable in 2025 that characters act in that way and do things like that when horror movie rules are pretty well established by now. So I found myself rolling my eyes a lot at, what was just an attempt to keep this film interesting and keep it moving along. Without going too much into spoilers, there's a piece at the end where it's like the final false ending. This film has about 3 or 4 endings. And the final one is so completely inconsequential, like it resolves itself with no conflict within about 2 minutes. You just think, well, why was that even added in? They could have just edited it out. It wouldn't have made a difference. I like the fact that the sharks kind of take a bit of a backseat in this film as well. But I think the sharks in their own way, it's a bit like Jaws 4. I think it's Jaws 4 The Revenge, where the animals almost become sentient and they start to have a conscience. Like, the sharks in this are a danger when they're a danger, and when they're not, they're very much not. And the film just kind of plays very loosely with the rules of, well, when you're in the water, are you at risk of being eaten a shark by not? And that seems to play out very conveniently in terms of moving the plot forward when it allows us to have someone in the water and not get attacked by a shark, or when it's okay for the plot. That's when the eating will happen. So yeah, all in all, it's a fun, entertaining, very popcorn movie. A really good central performance by Jai Courtney. But am I going to remember this in a week's time? It's sort of one you might throw on with mates, but I'm not going to say this is a good film. It's just a good bit of Saturday night entertainment. So for me, it's a 6 out of 10. I don't think you need to get to cinemas to see it. I don't think it being on the big screen will make a difference. It did have some really nice cinematography, some good footage of sharks, whether that was CGI or real, and some really nice kind of landscape shots of Australia, this sort of Australian coast. But I think this is a streaming movie at best, and you can catch it when it comes there. Anyway, thanks for checking me out. As I said, I also saw Cloud in the Cornfield last night, did about Horror Double Bill. Did not get much out of that. I'm not even going to do a review for it. It's on my Instagram page if you want to see what I thought. And obviously anything that I review that I don't do a proper video for, I will do a wrap up at the end of 2025. I'm not saying it's not been a vintage year so far for horror. And yeah, I feel like I'm being quite negative in a lot of what I'm saying, but I'm just waiting for a few more films that really, really stick with me. Anyway, thanks so much for watching this one. I'll catch you on the next one.